Lincoln City Urban Renewal Agency meeting, June 24th, 2013. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Roger Sprague.
Here.
Dick Anderson.
Here.
Gordon Eggleton. Here. Gary Ellingson is excused. Chester Noriakis.
Here.
Wes Ryan.
Here.
And Henry Quant.
Here.
This is the time for comments from citizens present. Do we have anyone who has anything that they would like to say before the agency? If not, we'll go into the order of business. The minutes of the meeting of June 10th, 2013. Any corrections or additions? If not, I'll ask
I've got a question on those.
Okay.
On the end of it down here at the bottom, did we approve the budget or didn't approve the budget?
Yes, we have.
According to this, it says it defeated unanimously.
Well, oh, that's right. I remember seeing that.
Adopting the budget goes.
I will make that correction.
Okay, thank you. I just happened to read it earlier. It just dawned on me that, wait a minute, nobody's saying anything here. Come on now, we got to speak up. She says, defeated unanimously, and it was the opposite way. So
I saw that when I read it, and I meant to write it down, and then I went back and looked at something else, and I forgot to write it down. So thank you very much for that.
That's section, when I do that with this new program, if you hit the wrong one, it's major, and that was major, so I'll make the correction.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections?
I'll make the motion to approve with that correction.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion's carried. Special order of business, Lincoln City Cultural Center of the Four Seas rent abatement and lease amendments. Allison, do you have anything to say before us?
Let me handle that.
Okay.
It's a simple extension of the lease abatement for 3 years. There were other requests that came that council was favorable to, one of which was going to require a public hearing, which we didn't have time to notice, so we'll come back on the other issues that involve the extension of the option to purchase, which requires a public hearing. And the other issue was maintenance.
Responsibility for maintenance.
Building maintenance, exterior building maintenance, and we'll come back to you with that, too. We would like a brief discussion of that after, assuming you approve the extension, then we'd like to come back and have a brief discussion about, time permitting here, about the building maintenance.
Okay. All right. You have copies of the Urban Renewal Agency Four Seas lease agreement, as well as the supplement to that.
To clarify, the attachment that's labeled supplement is not before you today. That's actually the 2006 document, which includes the existing option and right of first refusal. The right of first refusal is unaffected, but the option to purchase expires August 31st. And that's pertinent to the next, that we need a public hearing in order to talk about that.
So we're just looking at amendment number 3.
It's just amendment number 3.
Okay. Is there any discussion about the amendment? Amendment number 3? I'd entertain a motion for
Move.
pass that.
I would so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to renew the lease with the Four Seas. This is amendment number 3. All in favor? Well, roll call, please.
Ellingson. Sorry, he's not here. Sprague. Noriakis.
Yes.
Quant.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Ryan and Eggleton.
Okay. Did you want to have that now or later?
Your pleasure. I don't think it'll take long.
Let's do the updates first, and then we'll come back to that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. We didn't get to do the updates last week, so.
Evening, agency.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we just have a few brief updates on projects that are underway in some respect, either design or construction or on their way to one of the two. So right now, the D-Lake South First Traffic Signal Replacement Project, that's a mouthful, we're undergoing design for replacing that signal, and that's all on track. Everything's moving along just fine. ODOT recently provided comments to the consultants for a 30% plan review, and so we're rolling right along, and we anticipate the design will be done by August. And just for viewers, that's to fully replace the signal that already exists at South First Street. Because it is on wires, it'll be replaced with mast arms. And the reason for doing that is because of the utility undergrounding project, which is going to go through that area. And so the D-Lake utility undergrounding, which is also under design, and this is actually utility undergrounding from northwest 2nd Drive through to across the D River, and then it ends at southwest Ebb. And the field survey and geotechnical investigation are complete, and they're now working on the base drawing and evaluation of open trench and directional drilling options and alternative undergrounding alignments, so they can figure out where the utilities can fit, given that there are other utilities there. A draft geotechnical report is now being prepared, so that project is also on track. We have the Cutler Sewer Extension Project, and this design is complete as of April. We did put this project out to bid, and the bid opening was on the 18th of June, and this will be coming forward to you for more discussion and recommendation of bid award in July. Let's see, July 8th is the next meeting.
Were you happy with the bids?
Yes.
Good.
And then we have economic development. Just to let people know that we do have economic development tools, including the facade improvement loan program, the energy efficiency loan, and the local program support grant. And those are all now on the website, so you can find out program information and get an application if you'd like. And just to let people know, they are for commercial properties and businesses located within the Urban Renewal District. And if anyone has a question about whether or not their property is in the district, I'm happy to look on the map anytime. People can call or come in, and we'll find out. In the case of local program support grant, that program is to help fund other economic development entities that are focused on businesses located within the Urban Renewal District. And so the only tool that we're working on at the moment that is on the website, it says it's under development, and it just talks about what the draft program objectives are, is the Business Expansion Loan Program. And this program, also for businesses in the Urban Renewal District, you'll hear me say that many, many times. All of the programs are for properties in the district, and the district is not always predictable, so good to make sure that you're in the district if you are interested in these programs. The loan funds are for building expansion, equipment purchase, and then any loans that are over $50,000, we do have the requirement to prove that a full-time equivalent is retained or created for 1 year. And the interest rates are not more than 2% and fixed, and we are still working with the COG on developing the intergovernmental agreement for this, and that will come before you soon. Moving along to the Nelscott Southwest 35th Street parking lot. As you may recall, we had a kickoff meeting in March, and we got some great ODOT feedback on some options. And thank you again for some more direction at the last meeting, which I know was kind of rushed. And then that combined with the feedback from the property and business owners who also felt that option C2 was the best. We did relay that to the consultants, and I'm happy to say that they were able to meet ODOT's requested deadline, which was to turn this around by the 21st of June. And they were able to get it into AutoCAD and get the elevations correct and get that information to ODOT so that ODOT can tie it in with their highway improvement project. and they're on a very tight deadline to meet all of their, design hurdles as they go along. So this option will be about 13 parking spaces and probably will not be room for commercial development parcel. It'll have an ADA space and some room for bike parking, and also relocating the bus stop from Southwest 32nd Street. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Any questions? If not, sounds like we're good to go.
We're all rolling along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's spend a little bit of time talking about that building maintenance.
There's a couple of issues that I'd like some clarification on. I believe the council, or the agency's direction was that we should assume the improvements to the exterior of the building, or perhaps to the integrity of the building. I'm not exactly sure which one that was. But first of all, I would like to limit the low end of that so that we're not dealing with minor little things. I'd like to limit that to capital expenditures, say $1,000 and greater. Don't want to deal with minor little stuff all the time. We don't want to be the maintenance people. That may or may not be your wish. The second thing is, I'm not sure that we don't want to do that rather than by the city, is to fund it through the 4 Cs. Number one, we are anything over $50,000, as in the roof, would be covered by BOLI prevailing wages, which really raises the price of a project substantially. I can't guarantee that if we grant fund that, that the 4 Cs wouldn't still be under that umbrella. I really don't know. I know most of the improvements that they've made, which the city has not funded, have not been done under BOLI, but the city was not directly involved. So that's one thing. Also, I think it ought to be done subject to our budget, available budget. This property will become the property of the city's general fund here in just a few years. And I would hate to see a commitment where we have to go beyond our budgetary limitations to do something that we've contractually agreed to. So I would like you to consider 2 things. One is to do this by a grant program, and 2, do it subject to budgetary limitations. Third is limit it to $1,000 and greater. Anyway, I want to throw that out for discussion. Once we get some direction, we'll come back to you with something specific that meets your needs.
In order to avoid the BOLI requirements, could half the job be done one time and 6 months later do another half?
Not if it's funded. Not if we do it. We can't split the project.
You can't artificially divide a project in order to avoid.
But if one half of the roof is terribly leaking and the rest of it's okay, why not?
I think there's probably some separation over a number of years. You might be able to do that, but I don't think you could do it progressively or serially.
You couldn't do it half one year and half the next year?
Certainly not if that's your intention.
I'm looking for every way to save the bugs.
Builder of this building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I haven't run this by the 4 Cs, although the memo, hopefully you were able to look at the memo that was in the packet where I raised these issues. Nope. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I like the 3 proposals that by Mr. Hawker. I think would be a cleaner way to do it. For instance, the roof repair, if 4 Cs is doing it as a write-off for themselves too, and not have to be total amount, you know.
Or maybe they could come up with some funding, and maybe by splitting that up, BOLI wouldn't cover it. I don't know.
I just
We
think
haven't
that-
researched that issue.
I guess I want to caution that although we'd like to explore whether or not a grant to a nonprofit is available, it may not defeat BOLI application of prevailing wage.
I wasn't trying to necessarily do that. I just thought it would be a cleaner way. Totally funding it. I think that ultimately puts them responsible for finding the bidder and so on. And limiting it to $1,000, I think, is smart.
I also think that they can, well, I hate to say this, I'll get in trouble. I think they can get better pricing than we can with or without BOLI,
Yes.
because we are under some pretty strict regulatory guidelines, not guidelines, regulatory
Requirements.
rules that we have to follow, and that raises the price up.
Discussion?
Mr. Hooker, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hooker, I guess I'm wondering how we handle other municipal buildings, and I'm thinking like the Glass Studio, the community center, those kind of things would all come under our capital fund as far as responsibility.
Yeah, when it gets to capital improvements, capital replacements, recently we've been taking those out of the capital facilities fund, not the general fund.
Okay.
And I might have misspoke earlier when I said it would become the property of the general fund here in a couple of years when urban renewal sunsets, but these improvements might be funded out of the capital facilities fund, which is only available by law for capital improvements and replacements. It can't be a piece of carpet. Okay, it can't be wear items. It can only be so that's our best source of money for this is the capital facilities fund, which is limited by the voters that approved the bond issue and approved the 1% transit room tax for capital improvements. It can't be maintenance items.
So the things we've identified, windows theoretically, or roof.
Both those would qualify.
As those are not maintenance items, the window replacement would be.
They're
a capital improvement.
long-term enough that.
Okay, so that would get past the maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing, and I don't disagree with and applaud this approach to let's find a way. Let me remind, or at least remind myself, that when we were talking about this, I think we recognized that the likelihood of the cultural center ever executing a purchase is slim to none. So the idea was to keep their name in play and on the hook to help with grants and our relationship with the Four Cs to help find other funding. So whatever we do, I guess I'd want to keep that relationship in position.
Right.
Okay. So.
Any other comments? Discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Hawker, would that grant program relieve us of liability of failure to identify and do needed repairs?
Well, again, if it was a grant program, it would not.
One of the terms of, the existing agreement makes them responsible for these repairs. So when I was looking at making the changes as per your direction, I had to insert liability provisions and hold harmless provisions that said, notwithstanding the fact we're going to make these improvements, we're not going to be responsible, and hold harmless this and hold harmless that. And that's when we had the discussion, if we leave them responsible, but perhaps utilize grant programs and/or, people can donate materials, which doesn't get counted toward the BOLI limit. There may be ways for them to do it less expensively, and we don't have to buy into the liability, and I don't have to write all these disclaimers. So that's why we thought, well, maybe we should revisit it with you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
We do insure the property as far as casualty is concerned.
It's on our schedule of
Yeah.
buildings that we had.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have
So-
a re-
So I'll bring you something back on this. Along those lines, if you think that we're on the right track. I mean, I think what the Four Cs wants is a roof, and they want not to have to face major capital expenditures. That's, to me, what their goal is.
Is there a consensus to go forward with that?
I'm in agreement.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have it. All right, no resolutions? Any agency member comments? Hearing none, we are adjourned.